Our story begins in the sprawling Medium Kingdom, a land of grand architecture. We focus on the prestigious Munus Inium Real Academy, a school for the gifted. Inside, an exhausted student is eager to leave after a long day of classes. She accidentally bumps into a teacher who shows immediate concern for her. The girl recoils, shouting insults about the man's age and smell before fleeing the scene. The teacher, Washio, is left stunned and hurt by the cruel, unexpected comment. He internally defends his hygiene, pained by the student's unfair perception of him. As he wallows in his thoughts, someone else's presence makes him pause. Washio looks up from the floor, his dejected expression turning to one of pure surprise. The other student stands before him, suitcase in hand, with a thoughtful and calculating gaze. Washio's eyes widen, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. He notices something significant about the new student, his expression shifting. The new student, seemingly lost, asks Washio for directions. Washio, still surprised, observes the student's unique appearance. Suddenly, the student embraces Washio in a hug. Washio reacts to the unexpected physical contact. Washio's internal monologue reveals his suspicion and embarrassment. Other students witness the hug, their reactions ranging from disgust to amusement. Washio overhears the student's whispered judgments. The new student releases Washio and asks another question, seemingly innocent. The new student asks Washio for directions to the 4th floor. Washio suggests checking the student ID book for a map. The student frantically searches her suitcase. She realizes with horror that she's made a mistake. Washio worries about the consequences of the missing book. The student panics, realizing the seriousness of the situation. Washio offers some calming wisdom about hasty actions. He reassures her with a gentle head pat. The student's eyes widen in response to his touch. Washio offers a solution for getting a replacement ID book. The new student offers Washio some oddly specific advice. Washio recounts a past work experience seemingly unrelated to the situation. Washio's expression shifts, hinting at a deeper thought or realization. Washio abruptly dismisses his own story and apologizes for its strangeness. The new student's innocent question reveals a surprising lack of knowledge. Washio watches the new student walk away, observing her interactions. Washio reflects on the encounter, a mix of emotions on his face. The new student pauses, her expression suggesting a sudden thought. The focus shifts to the new student's suitcase, hinting at its importance. The new student has a moment of realization, a concerned look in her eyes. The scene shifts to the bustling teacher's room, a hub of academic activity. A smug elf-like colleague dumps a stack of magic questionnaires on Washio's desk. Washio wearily acknowledges the other teacher, clearly not thrilled with the extra work. He tries to decline an invitation for drinks, but his excuse about cleaning is met with skepticism. The elf condescendingly brags about his own achievements, suggesting the menial task is more fitting for Washio. Forcing a smile, Washio claims it's an honor to help, though his true feelings are written all over his face. The colleague's friendly facade drops, replaced by a sharp glare that leaves Washio wondering if he's being mocked. Left alone, the teacher slumps over his desk, overwhelmed by the work and the condescending encounter. As he walks away, the elf smirks, internally judging Washio as a miserable man. Later that night, a completely drained Washio wanders the streets, desperately needing food and rest. Washio politely declines another drink, ready to head home. He walks the streets, lamenting his empty wallet and rumbling stomach. Washio arrives at his humble abode, opening the door wearily. He walks through a dark tunnel, the city lights beckoning in the distance. Washio is startled by the housekeeper in his home. The housekeeper's comment about his marital status makes him contemplative. He gratefully accepts the offered leftovers. Washio bids the housekeeper goodnight, settling in for the evening. He shares a light-hearted moment with the housekeeper. Washio's expression turns serious, hinting at a deeper thought. He steps into his cluttered living space, kicking aside various odds and ends. The camera pans out to reveal a chaotic apartment, a testament to his bachelor life. He takes a large, hungry bite out of the sandwich the housekeeper left for him. After just a few bites, he sits on his bed, the weight of the day pressing down on him. Utterly exhausted, he falls back onto the messy bed, still in his work clothes. The housekeeper's words about him needing a wife echo in his mind. Lying there, he stares blankly at the ceiling, contemplating his lonely existence. His thoughts drift back more than a decade, to a time when he was a hopeless office drone. A montage reveals his incredible past. A normal man on a train, suddenly summoned to another world as a hero to fight a great evil. The memory ends with him standing alone in a ruined landscape, the sole survivor of a devastating conflict. Washio clutches a strange mechanical heart amidst a desolate, ruined scene. A plague doctor-like figure confronts Washio, holding a similar mechanical device. Washio's face contorts in a grimace of pain or intense emotion. He stands alone in a dark room, facing a large, cracked mirror. Washio and another man react with shock to a large spider in a containment unit. He jolts awake in bed, seemingly distressed by a nightmare. Washio breathes heavily, his eyes wide with fear and his face slick with sweat. He sits on his bed, reflecting on his current, ordinary life as a professor. Washio stands on his balcony, lamenting his perceived lack of accomplishments. He examines something small on his fingertip, a thoughtful expression on his face. Washio reflects on his past, smoking on his balcony surrounded by strange creatures. He reminisces about happier times before putting out his cigarette and deciding to sleep. The next morning, Washio arrives at the academy, greeted by colleagues. The elf colleague sniffs Washio, commenting on his supposed old man smell. Washio, confused and embarrassed, learns about a new Monster Girl student. He's surprised by the news, having just learned about the transfer. The elf colleague condescendingly explains the situation to Washio. He describes the Monster Girls, their intelligence and unique characteristics. The elf explains their rarity and the mystery surrounding their human forms. The elf questions Washio's knowledge of Monster Girls given his profession. The elf colleague condescendingly quizzes Washio on Monster Girl knowledge. He boasts about his expertise on lower-ranked monsters. The elf expresses surprise that a high-ranking Monster Girl would choose their academy. A demon-like figure highlights the elite status and promising future of Monster Girls. Stylish boots step into the frame, hinting at a new arrival. A new student is introduced, welcomed by the elf teacher. The energetic new student, Claudia, introduces herself as a kraken. Washio realizes the rude student from yesterday was a Monster Girl. Other teachers react to Claudia's arrival, some focused on her physical attributes. The focus returns to Claudia's fashionable footwear as she walks. Claudia confidently declares she's already chosen her professor. Other students and teachers react with surprise to her announcement. A familiar pair of boots steps into view, hinting at a connection. A mermaid student enthusiastically greets Washio, surprising everyone. Claudia, revealed as the Kraken, playfully interacts with her tentacles. Washio remains oblivious to the fact he already knows a Monster Girl. He ponders which octopus he might know, completely missing the point. Claudia addresses Washio directly, a knowing look on her face. A flashback shows a chaotic scene with Claudia and Washio in another setting. Washio reacts with surprise to the sudden memory of their past encounter. Claudia's tentacle reaches out, gently grasping Washio's hand. Claudia reveals a past life-or-death situation where Washio played a crucial role. Claudia's transformation into a Monster Girl is revealed, much to Washio's astonishment. Claudia contemplates her new situation, her expression a mix of curiosity and determination. Washio stares in disbelief, struggling to process the shocking revelation. The next morning arrives, the city awakening to a new day. Washio rushes through the streets, seemingly late and flustered. He's greeted by colleagues at the academy, their expressions a mix of surprise and amusement. A colleague calls out to Washio, drawing his attention. Claudia makes a grand entrance, her tentacles on full display, surprising onlookers. Claudia scoops up Washio, her tentacles propelling them through the air. Claudia expresses gratitude for arriving at school early, thanks to Washio. Washio reflects on the creature he saved, realizing it was Claudia. Claudia and Washio recognize each other, reminiscing about their past encounter. Other teachers question the fairness of Claudia choosing Washio as her professor. The director approves Claudia's choice, overriding the other teachers' concerns. Claudia and Washio leave, while another teacher expresses their disapproval. The disgruntled elf teacher believes he's more deserving of Claudia's mentorship. Claudia corrects someone for addressing Washio disrespectfully. Washio worries about upsetting another teacher with the situation. Claudia notices his unease and asks what's wrong, but he quickly brushes it off. She calls out his name, her directness snapping him out of his thoughts. She places a document on his desk, ready to discuss her academic path. Beaming with excitement, she tells him how much she's enjoyed her first few days at the academy. She singles out his biology class as her favorite, then pivots to a more serious topic. The teacher hands the student a form titled, "Form About My Future." He says that even as a first-year student, she has a bright future and could easily become a high-ranking officer as a Monster Girl. The girl clenches her fist, unable to hold back her emotions. She realizes that this is the only choice being forced on her and recalls her classmates' words. In a conversation with her friends, she hears that all monster girls eventually end up working in the king's department. Claudia seeks a recommendation from someone working at a specific place. Washio recalls similar advice from the other teachers. Claudia questions the pressure to meet everyone's expectations. Washio humbly suggests seeking advice from someone more qualified. Claudia's expression shows a mix of uncertainty and contemplation. Claudia challenges Washio's authority despite his role. Washio tries to reassure Claudia, urging her to relax. Claudia reviews a document, seemingly making important decisions. Students move about the academy, engaged in various activities. Claudia checks on Washio, concerned about his meager meal. Claudia presents Washio with a nearly empty wallet, explaining her financial struggles. She surprises him by offering him a sandwich, having already completed a form. Claudia and Washio review a lengthy document together, her expression concerned. The elf teacher reacts with shock upon learning Claudia is seeking a teaching position. He tries to dissuade Claudia from pursuing a teaching career, deeming it beneath her. Claudia is taken aback by the elf's dismissive attitude towards her aspirations. Her thoughtful expression suggests she's considering his words. Claudia interrupts a conversation between Washio and another teacher. Washio expresses his concern about disregarding students' wishes. Claudia agrees, emphasizing the importance of respecting student autonomy. The elf teacher argues that Claudia's choice is a grave mistake. Other teachers observe a tense exchange between Claudia and the elf. The elf asserts his superior qualifications to mentor Claudia. He urges Washio to initiate the paperwork for a teacher change. The elf's smug expression falters as he's interrupted. Claudia intervenes, defending Washio with a fierce protectiveness. She passionately declares Washio a great teacher who supports her dreams. Claudia recounts a time when Washio's words helped her. The other teachers are puzzled by Claudia's revelation. The elf demands clarification, confused by Claudia's words. Claudia shares some encouraging words with Washio. Washio recalls a younger Claudia's surprising aspiration. He remembers her reasoning behind wanting to be human. Washio tries to impart some life advice to young Claudia. Claudia expresses her worries about her appearance. Washio encourages Claudia to embrace her true self. He advises her to focus on her unique strengths. Washio explains his interpretation of a philosophical concept. He offers his full support for Claudia's dreams. Claudia reflects on Washio's past influence on her life. Claudia reflects on Washio's simple yet impactful advice. She credits Washio for helping her recognize her potential. Claudia affirms Washio as her chosen mentor. Another teacher questions Claudia's choice of Washio. The teacher criticizes another colleague for disrespecting student choices. Other teachers discuss Washio's perceived inadequacies. The elf teacher observes Washio adjusting his tie. The elf teacher notices Washio's emotional state. The elf teacher storms off, vowing to remember this incident. Claudia invites Washio to lunch, seemingly oblivious to the tension. Claudia's tentacle wraps around her arm, a subtle display of her unique nature. Claudia's ambition is revealed. She aspires to become a teacher. Washio expresses contentment with his current profession. Washio reflects on forgotten memories as Claudia pulls him along. Claudia holds a small octopus plushie, emphasizing the know yourself philosophy. Washio is touched by Claudia remembering his advice from years ago. Washio contemplates the situation, a thoughtful expression on his face. Claudia and Washio's footwear highlights their contrasting styles. Claudia asks Washio for a loan, creating a slightly awkward moment. Washio lectures about Claudia's abilities and warns against underestimating her. Claudia effortlessly demonstrates her inhuman strength. The scene shifts to the biology classroom. Claudia's impressive entrance leaves other students in awe. Claudia's presence boosts class attendance. Claudia offers to assist Washio with his teaching duties. Washio makes a lighthearted joke. Claudia expresses her contentment being with Washio. Claudia offers Washio assistance with a high-reaching task. A close-up reveals a detail on Claudia's attire. Claudia and Washio discuss the extent of her abilities. Washio marvels at Claudia's tentacle dexterity, apologizing for his outburst. Claudia explains the usefulness of her tentacles, her expression full of innocent enthusiasm. Washio learns about the surprising flexibility and size-changing abilities of her tentacles. Claudia demonstrates the impressive strength of her tentacles, leaving Washio wide-eyed. Claudia suggests a surprising use for her tentacles, causing Washio to react with a mixture of shock and discomfort. Washio recalls a time when Claudia used her skills professionally, highlighting her resourcefulness. Claudia offers Washio a snack, her expression suggesting a playful ulterior motive. Claudia proposes a more personal demonstration of her tentacle abilities, catching Washio off guard. Claudia continues her suggestive offer, leading to a potentially compromising situation for Washio. Claudia reveals she was teasing, leaving Washio flustered and unsure how to react. Claudia playfully tests her charms on a flustered Washio. She seeks his opinion on her seductive display, leaving him speechless. Washio abruptly changes the subject, reminding her about the next class. Claudia expresses her disappointment at their interrupted moment. She sits beside Washio, her expression a mix of longing and frustration. Claudia bids Washio farewell, promising to see him soon. Washio watches her leave, a thoughtful expression on his face. He reflects on the encounter, his heart racing from the close call. Claudia struggles to maintain her human form, overwhelmed by her monstrous nature. A new character rushes towards the academy, seemingly late for something important. A mysterious young woman in a sun hat arrives, wondering if Washio-sensei still remembers her. Meanwhile, Washio is trapped in a nightmare, haunted by the memory of Claudia's tentacles. He wakes up and joyfully celebrates a rare day off, a once-a-year miracle. His celebration is cut short when the mysterious woman appears right behind him, startling him. As he walks away complaining about his back, she calls out his name, stopping him in his tracks. He spins around and recoils in shock at her proximity, demanding to know who she is. The surprise sends him tumbling to the ground, looking up at the unfamiliar face. She greets him with a warm smile, casually mentioning that it's been a long time. With a confident expression, she notes that she's probably changed a lot since they last met. She then lifts her skirt slightly, leaving a bewildered Washio staring up at her in utter confusion. The mysterious woman reveals her spider-like lower half, shocking Washio. In a flashback, the woman expresses delight at a small restaurant. She comments on the restaurant's condition, unimpressing the staff. The owner is offended by her choice of seating. Other patrons whisper about the woman's behavior towards Washio. The owner offers Washio a special dish, acknowledging his first time bringing a girl there. The woman enjoys the offered food with gusto. She savors the unique flavor of the dish, charming the other patrons. Washio tries to explain her blunt comments to the concerned owner. The patrons are captivated by her name and appearance. She introduces herself as Aria, declaring she's no longer just a little spider. Washio reminisces about her past as a shy spider, amazed at her transformation into a monster girl. Aria admits that her past life as a spider was a challenging time for her. She credits Washio's past words for helping her through those difficult times. Washio is completely baffled, having no memory of the impactful advice she mentions. She's shocked to hear he's a biology teacher, as she expected something different. He simply smiles, explaining that a lot has changed over the years. The girl widens her eyes, realizing what she just heard. In the conversation, a small octopus is mentioned, now called Claudia. The teacher reflects that she became his student and a monster girl, but their close relationship feels strange to him. Aria enjoys her beer and orders the most expensive items on the menu. Washio jokes about eating bread for a week after the extravagant meal. Aria's carriage arrives, revealing her affluent lifestyle. Aria embraces Washio, expressing her hope to see him again. Aria snuggles against Washio, happy to have seen him. Washio bids Aria good night, a pleasant expression on his face. Washio walks away from Aria's carriage, heading home. Aria sits in her carriage, her spider-like lower body revealed. Aria removes her hat, settling into her carriage. Aria celebrates fulfilling her dream of hugging Washio with human hands. Aria reflects on Claudia's growth and maturity. Claudia ponders Washio's obliviousness to her affections. Claudia realizes she forgot to give Washio a gift. Claudia spots Washio returning home and considers catching up. Claudia alerts Washio to a fire at the church. Claudia contemplates giving the gift to Washio later. The fire at the church intensifies, causing panic. People react to the escalating fire, some offering assistance. A nun desperately tries to reach a child trapped inside. Claudia learns a child is still trapped in the burning church. Claudia confidently assures the nun she'll handle the situation. Washio warns Claudia to be careful as she rushes into the burning church. Claudia bravely enters the blazing building, determined to save the child. Claudia's tentacles emerge, navigating the smoke-filled church. Claudia realizes she needs to use water magic, despite being out of practice. Claudia announces her presence to the trapped child, offering help. Claudia calls out, searching for the child in the smoky haze. Claudia coughs, struggling against the smoke and heat. Claudia finds the unconscious child lying on the floor. Claudia uses her tentacles to swiftly rescue the child from the burning room. Claudia gently holds the rescued child, whispering words of comfort. Without warning, a massive flaming beam crashes down towards them. She considers unleashing her destructive lightning magic to clear the path. However, she realizes the powerful blast could harm the child in her arms. Just in time, a mysterious hand intercepts the falling debris with a crackle of energy. Washio stands revealed, effortlessly stopping the collapse with a single hand as his power surges. Claudia stares in disbelief, recognizing the legendary magic she hasn't witnessed in 2 decades. He conjures a massive dome of water, shielding them completely from the inferno. The narrative reveals his true identity: the kingdom's most powerful magician, the Golden Eagle. His heroic moment is shattered as Washio suddenly clutches his shoulder, complaining about old age pains. The church, now miraculously surrounded by water, shows signs of internal damage. Onlookers react with awe and amazement at the sudden appearance of water. Someone questions if Washio was responsible for the seemingly impossible feat. The rescued child, noticing a fish, is momentarily distracted. Claudia carries the child through the dissipating smoke, followed by the child's gaze. The crowd reacts with relief and concern as Claudia emerges with the child. Claudia explains she used healing magic on the child, but recommends a doctor's visit. The nun expresses profound gratitude for Claudia's heroic actions. A bystander praises Claudia's powerful magic, attributing it to her monster girl nature. Claudia humbly downplays her actions, suggesting they weren't extraordinary. Bystanders marvel at Claudia's strength and beauty, realizing she's a monster girl. Washio walks away, unknowingly admired for his association with monster girls. A colleague asks Washio to handle the aftermath of the church incident. Claudia looks distressed as the damaged church is shown. Water drips from the church as a young girl observes the scene. Claudia explains the magical origin of the water and fish to the curious girl. The young girl expresses delight at the magical fish. Claudia notices the flower wreath on the girl's head. Washio explains how he made the wreath with magic to comfort the girl. The girl declares her love for magic, holding the magical fish. A young girl's focused gaze hints at a playful challenge. A floral offering is presented, its meaning yet to be revealed. Washio receives another floral gift, clearly perplexed by the gesture. The gift giver explains their motive, aiming to impart valuable life lessons. Washio contemplates the spider's words, intrigued by their philosophy. He shares a life motto, emphasizing the importance of generosity. Washio elaborates on his philosophy, connecting giving with happiness. The spider's touch suggests a deeper connection to the philosophy. Inspired, the young girl decides to spread the message of giving. Washio walks away, leaving the viewer to ponder his impact. The young girl readily agrees to a request for magic. Students gossip about a monster girl involved in the church fire. Claudia overhears the rumors spreading through the academy. Arya, another monster girl, makes a stylish appearance. Arya clarifies that she wasn't the one who put out the fire. Claudia and Arya discuss Washio's involvement in the incident. Arya recalls Washio's changed appearance and increased magical prowess. Washio encounters Claudia and Arya, interrupting their conversation. Arya expresses gratitude to Washio for her transformation. Arya presents Washio with a gift as a token of her appreciation. Arya sweetly repeats his philosophy, believing that to live is to give. Claudia, looking less than thrilled, asks to open the gift, and Arya permits her. Inside is a spider-themed tie, which Arya promptly fastens around a delighted Washio's neck as Claudia watches in horror. Arya declares the tie a perfect fit, embracing a pleased Washio, while Claudia seethes in the background. Students below gossip as the two monster girls cling to Washio, arguing over which animal design suits him best. Later, Arya presents a document asking Washio about his plans to join the Magic Guard. He praises her exceptional magical abilities, acknowledging she stands out among her peers. Despite his plea for no more hugs, Washio warmly promises to support her future endeavors. He reflects on his students' ambitions, feeling a renewed sense of purpose to guide them. The elf colleague suddenly appears, boasting about his own star student and declaring victory in some unseen competition. The elf teacher brags about his faction's undefeated streak. Washio observes the teacher's excitement, seemingly detached. Claudia contemplates the Magic Guard, a prestigious organization. Arya teases Claudia about her past habits, revealing a playful dynamic. Claudia questions Arya's future plans, prompting a thoughtful response. Arya expresses her desire to follow in Washio's footsteps as a teacher. Claudia supports Arya's dream, admiring her ambition. Students notice a pleasant floral scent, wondering about its source. An upperclassman encourages the first years to study diligently. A teacher attempts to recruit new students into their faction. Two students react with a mix of confusion and curiosity. A confident student introduces himself and his faction. The students learn about different magic activation patterns and factions. The students discuss joining a particular faction. One student tries to persuade the others to join their group. The persuasive student offers to enhance their magical abilities. One student expresses reluctance to join. The students discuss alternative options, rejecting forceful recruitment. One student reveals their preference for combat over social gatherings. A duel is proposed to settle the matter. The duel's rules are surprisingly simple. First magic hit wins. One student unleashes a torrent of water, catching the other off guard. Another student begins an incantation, focusing their magical energy. They channel their power, preparing a counteroffensive. The second student manipulates the water, turning the tide of the duel. A close-up reveals a student's intense focus and determination. The duel concludes with one student emerging victorious. The victor offers an invitation, extending a hand in camaraderie. A teacher begins a lesson explaining the principles of magic. A magical manifestation appears, demonstrating the teacher's power. A student reacts with surprise, questioning the appearance of a wolf. The teacher explains the wolf is a manifestation of magical power. Claudia, with her tentacles visible, observes the magical display. The teacher proudly presents his werewolf manifestation. The teacher asks if the students are surprised by his power. He explains that the size, not the shape, of the manifestation matters. A chart illustrates how manifestation size relates to magical rank. The elf teacher explains how to gauge a magician's power. The elf teacher confidently strides through the academy. Students discuss the teacher's increased magical strength. Claudia assesses the teacher's magical prowess, estimating his rank. The elf teacher offers a demonstration of his magical abilities. He summons a massive ice manifestation, shocking onlookers. The sheer size of the ice construct dwarfs the surrounding area. Claudia and Arya react to the impressive display of power. The elf teacher questions if his magic surprised them. He explains his technique, emphasizing perfect spell recitation. He boasts about his faction's superior magical recitation skills. He invites the monster girls to join his faction. Students discuss the teacher's impressive magical feat. Claudia expresses disappointment in the elf teacher's assessment of Washio. Arya compares the elf's magic to Washio's, hinting at a vast difference. Arya decides to seek Washio's help, rejecting the elf teacher's offer. Another student questions Arya's choice, disparaging Washio's abilities. The student suspects Arya is choosing Washio due to a perceived debt. The student reveals Washio's low magical rank, further questioning Arya's decision. The student gossips about Washio's perceived failures and sad situation. The student believes Washio coerced Arya into choosing him as her mentor. The elf teacher confidently displays his magical prowess, summoning a large wolf. Claudia reacts strongly to the elf teacher's condescending remarks about Washio. Claudia unleashes her monstrous form, tentacles writhing, and declares her displeasure. Onlookers react with shock and awe as Claudia's transformation disrupts the academy. Another monster girl criticizes Claudia's monstrous display, urging her to control her temper. Arya intervenes, her spider-like lower half revealed, demanding an apology from the elf teacher. Washio is stunned by the escalating situation and the power displayed by the monster girls. Students react with a mix of fear and fascination to the monster girls' unique attributes. Claudia and Arya confront the elf teacher, demanding an apology for his disrespectful words. Arya exerts her influence, causing the elf teacher to feel the pressure of her power. Arya urges Claudia to accept an apology, but Claudia remains resolute in her anger. Washio observes the aftermath of the confrontation, noticing the damage and the students' amazement. A teacher shouts in alarm, concerned about the tower's destruction. The tower is shown in ruins, smoke billowing from the wreckage. A teacher questions the students, suspecting their involvement. One student blames another, escalating the tense situation. The elf teacher confesses his feelings for Claudia. The elf teacher praises Claudia's magical abilities. The elf teacher examines Claudia's ring, impressed by its power-limiting properties. Overcome with emotion, the elf teacher proposes to Claudia. Another teacher interrupts the chaotic scene, demanding an apology letter. Washio observes the aftermath, seemingly detached from the drama. A smug colleague criticizes Washio's handling of the recent incident. Washio believes the monster girls had a valid reason for their actions. He considers being stricter with his monster girl students. The elf colleague offers to take over the monster girl's mentorship. Washio acknowledges the elf's persistence and considers his offer. Claudia delivers a note to Washio at the counselor's office. The elf teacher explains his actions and apologizes for his recklessness. Claudia defends her actions, claiming she was protecting herself. Claudia reminds Washio of his affiliation and advises caution. Claudia addresses Washio, ready to discuss the situation further. Claudia plots to free Arya from Washio's supposed influence. The elf teacher expresses his distaste for spiders, rejecting Arya's advances. Arya firmly rejects the elf teacher's faction invitation, finding him irritating. Washio observes a meeting between students and a teacher. Washio reflects on the energy of youth, a wistful expression on his face. Claudia and Arya question Washio's obliviousness to their obvious interest. Washio tries to explain his matchmaking attempt but makes it worse. Claudia expresses her dislike for Washio's awkward attempts at romance. Claudia suggests a date, putting a flustered Washio in a difficult position. Arya notices Washio's lack of apology, a thoughtful look in her eyes. Washio reminds the monster girls against using magic outside class. One monster girl suggests a date after class, catching Washio off guard. Claudia rummages through clothes, seeking the perfect outfit. She tries on a new outfit, seeking approval from her friends. She tries on another outfit, hoping for Washio's opinion. Washio compliments both monster girls on their chosen outfits. Claudia asks Washio which color suits her best, putting him on the spot. Washio struggles to choose, overwhelmed by the options. He deflects the question, suggesting they all look good. Washio tries to change the subject, mentioning a large sum of money. Claudia and Arya share a knowing glance. They observe other students shopping for clothes. Claudia whispers something to Arya, causing her to blush. Other students realize Washio is the monster girl's teacher. Teachers discuss Washio's low rank and ability to handle the class. Claudia and Arya share a look of determination. Claudia suggests a sweet treat outing with Washio. Claudia enjoys a crepe, offering some to Washio. Washio seems overwhelmed by the attention from the girls. Someone notices Washio with a student and comments on the situation. A local man lectures Washio, calling his low rank pathetic and urging him to seek a promotion. The monster girls stare blankly as the elf teacher smugly stands beside Washio, confirming they are colleagues. The elf teacher's eyes narrow with a look of pure condescension. Washio cheerfully explains he's perfectly content with his low-responsibility, low-rank position. The old man is appalled by Washio's lack of ambition, blaming him for the state of today's youth. The girls lament how everyone, from teachers to townspeople, completely underestimates their professor. Claudia hatches a plan, turning to Arya with a mischievous proposal to change the public's perception. They shoo Washio away, claiming they need to have a secret girl talk, leaving him utterly bewildered. As the girls walk off, a clueless Washio asks where they're headed. The old man continues his unsolicited life advice, insisting Washio needs to earn more money and get promoted. The monster girls suggest another date, but one has to leave abruptly. Washio finds himself unexpectedly alone and decides to grab a drink. Washio enjoys a quiet lunch at the academy, noticing the monster girl's absence. He wonders why Claudia and Arya aren't around for their usual lunch antics. Claudia appears requesting his signature on a document. Claudia reveals a document to establish the Washio faction. Washio is bewildered by the idea of a faction named after him. Claudia explains the Washio faction is causing him more problems. Arya insists their faction is possible, despite Washio's doubts. Claudia explains how they met the requirements for the faction's creation. Washio ponders his stagnant career, surprised by a sudden promotion. Claudia reveals her persuasion tactic involving the director. Claudia urges a weary Washio to sign the faction document. Washio considers the implications of the new faction. Washio suggests joining an existing faction instead. He encourages them to connect with other students. Claudia suggests joining another teacher's faction. Washio reveals the girl's dislike for the suggested teacher. Claudia's intense expression hints at strong feelings. Washio is taken aback by Claudia's reaction. Claudia is frustrated by Washio's acceptance of his unfair evaluation. Her frustration is evident in her expression and body language. She urges him to sign the faction document, even if it's just an apology. Washio and Claudia share a serious moment of eye contact. A flashback shows Arya as a small spider in a ruined setting. Washio's contemplative expression hints at a forgotten memory. Claudia confidently asserts her identity and presents a document. Claudia informs Washio of an urgent matter requiring his attention. Washio reaches for the document, intrigued by its urgency. Claudia delivers unexpected news about Washio's employment. Washio processes the shocking news of his impending homelessness. He's overwhelmed by the sudden change in his circumstances. Claudia addresses him, seeking his attention. Claudia and another student present their request to Washio. Washio contemplates their proposal, his expression a mix of surprise and resignation. Claudia expresses her gratitude as Washio signs the document. Washio reflects on the unexpected benefits of the situation. He signs the document, seemingly accepting his new role. Washio appears stressed, overwhelmed by the recent events. He continues signing, finalizing the agreement. Washio's stressed, noticing a misspelling on a crucial document. Claudia and Arya react with a mix of surprise and amusement. The Academy's tower lies in ruins. A girl lies unconscious inside a protective bubble. Claudia plots to create a new faction, targeting the director's office. The director denies their request, leaving them stunned. Claudia argues passionately, emphasizing they meet all requirements. Arya is shocked to learn a similar faction already exists. Washio remains clueless about the intricacies of factions. The different factions are explained, each with unique magical approaches. The girls devise a backup plan, seeking a different solution. A confident teacher declares he'll seek higher intervention. Washio worries about his future, realizing the urgency of his situation. Claudia greets Washio enthusiastically, using an unexpected term of endearment. Claudia asks Washio to stop using the affectionate nickname. A tentacle appears, adding an unexpected element to the conversation. Arya observes Washio, seemingly deep in thought. Claudia delivers a message from another teacher. The message concerns a damaged tower and its impact on the academy. Claudia reacts with surprise to the tower's ominous nickname. The tower's history and location are revealed. A character shares spooky tales of the tower, clearly enjoying the frightened reactions. Washio arrives, offering reassurance and a calming presence. Claudia, eager to explore, suggests they proceed immediately. Claudia reveals her role in the tower's destruction, implying shared responsibility. Washio reacts with surprise and perhaps a touch of concern. Fear grips the group as they hesitate before the ominous tower. They enter the tower, determined to find something and escape quickly. A close-up on a boot emphasizes their cautious steps into the unknown. A character reports their success in guiding Washio and Claudia to the tower. Someone expresses hope that Claudia will join their faction, anticipating a positive outcome. The elf teacher hatches a plan involving Washio and a ghost. He revels in his brilliant scheme to manipulate the situation. The core principles of his faction are revealed: intelligence, wealth, and pride. He and his colleague reaffirm their commitment to these principles. They anticipate the monster girl's arrival, eager to put their plan into action. The elf teacher's ambition to control the monster girls is clear. Washio, Claudia, and another student venture into the damaged tower. The student seems flustered, possibly by Washio's presence. The tower's damaged state is shown in more detail. Washio tries to calm Claudia, who appears distressed. Claudia struggles, overwhelmed by a powerful force. Claudia finds herself in a compromising position with Washio. Washio reacts to the unexpected physical contact. Claudia encourages Washio to embrace the moment. Claudia reminds Washio of their precarious situation. The group discusses their objective within the tower. One student decides to stay behind, too afraid to enter. Claudia appears distressed, wiping sweat from her brow. The group notices a door moving on its own. A spectral figure appears, startling the group. Claudia urges Washio to wait, her expression showing concern. A trap is sprung, capturing Washio and another student in a precarious position. Washio and the student react with surprise and alarm to the sudden shift. Claudia acts quickly, using her abilities to try and help. The situation worsens as another obstacle appears, blocking their escape. Claudia wonders about Arya's safety, her thoughts drifting to her friend. The student with Washio feels uneasy, sensing something amiss. Claudia announces her plan to undo the trap, determined to free them. Claudia's monstrous instincts begin to surface, triggered by the stressful situation. Claudia is urged to control her instincts, her internal struggle becoming apparent. Washio reassures Claudia he's all right, but she seems unconvinced. Claudia makes a bold declaration about their future, leaving Washio stunned. Washio's shock is palpable as he processes Claudia's words. Claudia's actions escalate, leaving Washio speechless. The situation becomes even more complicated in the crumbling tower. The tower's instability leads to an unexpected and awkward encounter. Washio and the other student are caught in a precarious predicament. Claudia checks on the trapped pair, assessing the situation. The focus shifts to a mysterious girl encased in a protective bubble. Washio learns about the girl and a rapidly approaching danger. A countdown begins, giving them only 60 seconds before the room self-destructs. Washio and the student realize with horror that the door has locked behind them, trapping them inside. They desperately try the handle, but it won't budge, confirming their grim situation. The mysterious girl in the pod calmly advises them to stay composed, as panic will only make things worse. As the seconds tick away, the girl remains completely unfazed by the impending danger. Washio and the student decide their only hope is to find an instruction manual to deactivate the sequence. They discover an ancient-looking magic book on a nearby desk, which Washio recognizes with a start. The student is confused by the discovery, but Washio quickly scans the pages for answers. While the student seems to grasp the situation, Washio struggles to comprehend the complex magical text. With less than 50 seconds left, Washio approaches the pod with newfound determination, seemingly having a plan. Washio focuses, channeling his power towards a glowing doorway. Claudia and another student watch as Washio confronts a powerful horned figure. Washio appears drained, the exertion of his magic taking its toll. The other student expresses surprise as the dangerous situation suddenly resolves. The student praises Washio, recognizing his impressive magical feat. The student inquires about the mysterious magic book. Washio reflects on his actions, questioning his past choices. Washio examines the ancient magic book, recognizing its significance. Washio struggles to decipher the book's complex language. Washio and the student examine the book, searching for a solution. Claudia gazes intently at Washio, a plan forming in her mind. She suggests using the ancient magic book as a focus for their faction. Washio and the other student react with surprise to the mention of the magic book. The mysterious girl in the pod observes them, her expression neutral. The girl speaks, surprising Washio and Claudia with her unexpected words. The girl denies knowing Washio, her gaze unwavering. Washio processes the information, a thoughtful expression on his face. The girl explains her activation and desire to restart her master's search. She recognizes Washio's handwriting in the ancient magic book. The girl reveals her limited time and desire to add to the book's knowledge. The mysterious girl offers to unlock the door and suggests they leave. She reveals her purpose is tied to her master's presence. Washio and Claudia stand before the girl in the pod, a book in Washio's hand. Claudia suggests Washio become the girl's master, but he hesitates. Washio reminds Claudia of his simple biology teacher role. Washio looks down at the floor, deep in thought. Claudia looks concerned, her eyes wide with worry. The girl in the pod explains her mission. Washio looks down, his expression unreadable. The girl's face is partially visible, her number designation prominent. Claudia questions Washio's certainty about leaving the mysterious girl. Claudia's concern for the girl is evident in her worried expression. Washio turns his back, seemingly ready to leave. Washio looks at the sleeping girl, lost in thought. Washio holds a mysterious book, its text indecipherable. The girl is revealed to be the guardian of the ancient book. The girl's low magical power is hindering the book's operation. The girl reminisces about her time spent with her previous master. The girl requests Washio to continue her master's work. Washio doubts his suitability for such a significant task. The girl's solemn expression reflects the weight of her mission. Claudia observes with a look of concern and perhaps a touch of fear. Washio and Claudia descend the tower stairs, leaving the mysterious girl behind. Claudia glances back, her expression filled with worry and uncertainty. The mysterious girl sleeps peacefully, unaware of the discussions happening around her. Claudia's worried expression shows her concern for the sleeping girl. Claudia's determined gaze hints at a plan forming in her mind. Claudia pleads with Washio, her desperation evident. Claudia explains the girl's predicament, hoping to sway Washio. Claudia implores Washio to help, her hands clasped together in a plea. Claudia reflects on Washio, a gentle smile gracing her face. Washio appears troubled, his expression conveying uncertainty. He expresses confusion and concern for Claudia's well-being. Claudia reflects on Washio's character, admiring his kindness. Washio laments his reliance on his student's guidance. He expresses his frustration with the situation. Claudia and Washio share a moment of understanding. Washio apologizes for his perceived inadequacy. Claudia offers patience and understanding. The mysterious girl sleeps peacefully in her protective pod. The mysterious girl rests, a simple statement confirming her humanity. A plea for love and care for the enigmatic girl. A request to bestow a new name upon her. The plea is directed towards a young master. A sincere smile offered, a gesture of kindness received. Washio greets the girl, his words filled with warmth. The girl, now named Alice, processes the interaction. Washio confirms he gave her the name Alice. Alice accepts her new name, ready for an update. Alice confirms Washio as her master. A new bond formed. Alice holds the grimoire, causing a stir among the teachers. The elf teacher is agitated, questioning someone's actions. The elf teacher boasts about his rank and knowledge. Washio accepts a complicated task, ready for any challenge. Claudia proposes making the grimoire search a faction activity. The principal assesses the students, impressed by their potential. Claudia corrects a misunderstanding about Alice's status. The principal accepts Washio's faction request, assigning a new residence. Washio greets his students ready for a new adventure. Claudia describes the ghost they encountered as friendly. A student questions their new living arrangement, clearly uncomfortable with the idea of cohabitating with ghosts. Aria casually reveals she can talk to ghosts and spent her time chatting with one while the others were trapped. Alice assumes the elf teacher fought off the spirits, but it's clarified he simply took the ghost with him. Washio tasks Claudia and Aria with helping Alice find a new outfit, noting her current one is a bit revealing. He waves them off, explaining he'll be busy with the paperwork for the tower repairs. Alice addresses Washio as her master, and he gives her a friendly wave before departing. Despite Alice's desire to stay with her master, the other girls lead her away for some girl time. The three girls walk away from the damaged tower, embarking on their shopping trip. A montage shows the girls browsing shops while Washio oversees the reconstruction of the tower. Alice returns to her master, now sporting a brand new maid outfit, much to the surprise of the other students. Students gossip about Washio's relationship with the monster girls. Washio and the girls react to the students' comments. Alice seems pleased with her new attire and role. The girls tease Alice about her reactions to Washio. Washio warns the girls about the dangers of the damaged tower. The girls offer to help with the tower repairs. The girls demonstrate their surprising strength. Washio seeks confirmation of their assistance. Alice prepares to secure the area. Alice unleashes a powerful energy blast. Alice unleashes a devastating blast of energy, shocking onlookers. The energy dissipates, revealing the aftermath of Alice's powerful attack. Alice checks on Washio, concerned about his well-being after the blast. Washio reflects on the incident, a thoughtful expression on his face. Alice expresses her satisfaction with the outcome of the situation. Washio and another student discuss the next steps in the tower repairs.